Welcome back to our weekly training here, powered by Ground, the pie of real estate. New homes, resale, distressed. We must learn how to better service our clients in all aspects of real estate, because this is what is going to make you stand out. Oftentimes they say, oh, you have to know your scripts. Yes, but oftentimes when we learn the scripts, we sound so mechanical. But when we truly learn how to service our clients with knowing our scripts, with knowing what to say, with knowing how to manage the transaction, with knowing so many other pieces, with understanding new homes, resale, and distress, this is how we truly better service our clients, not just knowing our scripts, right? It's important to know scripts and how to overcome objections and all of that, but there's so much more. And I really liked one guy I was listening to this week. He said, I'd rather have you talking to a client for 20 minutes and building that report than speaking to 20 clients for 20 within the 20 minutes, meaning speaking with each client for a minute. Yes, sometimes we get too robotic, but we say we're in the relationship business. Well, you have to give time to your clients if you truly want to build that relationship. Know real time what is happening. It is so important that we are aware in real time what is happening in today, in the market, and what we're truly trying to achieve. Whether we're doing a recording today, whether you're going to a sales, a listing appointment, whether you have to focus on business development. It's interesting, a lot of people say, oh, are you busy? And they're like, no, I don't have any work. Well, that's a phenomenal opportunity to build up in that time frame when you are going to have work. But a lot of people say, oh, I don't have work, and they just sit back and wait until it drops in their lap. No, there's so many things you can do when you supposedly don't have work. Get to work. One guy said that if you have no work, your job is to look for work, right? So use that opportunity or that season of time when you don't have work to build up to when you're going to have a lot of work. Last session, we talked about breaking down our belief system and understanding that there's limiting factors to what we can do and what we can't do. And the true assessment is the business that we truly do. You see, all of us struggle in some belief factor about what we can or cannot do in business. Some people go, oh, I can't build a team. Some people go, hey, I'm struggling as a solo broker. But you always got to remember, there's people in this industry who are ahead of you, and something is working for them, and you need to start balancing it out for yourself and seeing what will work for you. So, unravel these belief systems and replace them. Don't leave yourself void. Replace them with things that have made other people successful that will also make you successful. The market is always a moving target. There's always money to be made in every single market. There's sometimes less or a little bit more money to be made, but the average is still very great. So what I'm going to say is unravel your belief systems. Focus on what things are limiting you and moving into the next space. We talk a lot about new homes, and I've told a lot of brokers to move into the space of new homes because nationally, they're holding about 20% of the market. That's a lot, and a lot of brokers weren't expecting that and are still not expecting that. And guess what? A lot of the inventory in the next couple of years that's going to be coming to the market is still going to be new homes. And this is why we as brokers have to grow and unravel our belief system from, hey, I never sold a new home, to, hey, let me figure out how to sell it. Watch Powered by Ground. Watch maybe 3 or 4 other brokers who are talking about new homes, how to go through all the transactions and so forth, pre-sales and so forth. But you have to learn to float in new homes. And this is how we have to kind of break up our belief system and replace it with real stats. The real stats and the data showing that new homes is still a huge complement to almost every metro market right now nationwide. Our last kind of session for this whole series that we've been kind of bringing to you every single week is be accountable. Accountability is so huge. And the way I do it in my life is when I talk to people, oftentimes through masterminding, I reflect accountability. So for example, I say, hey, I want to do so much and so much. And during my conversation with somebody, I kind of do a self-reflection. Am I truly meeting the goals that I'm trying to meet? You know, am I truly setting records? In accountability is needed a lot more in your early stages of your career, because you need to set goals and you truly need to do all you can to meet them. But be accountable. And it kind of falls into two places. It's more like the victim mindset, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and accountability that truly brings change. But you have a lot of people who, when it comes to being accountable, they just, they jump into this victim mindset mode. They actually are a little bit ignorant. They fight reality. They shift blame. They're like, you know what? Yes, I could have done it, but I didn't have time. And you hear a lot of conversations that in that perspective. They have personal excuses. They go, I was sick for 2 weeks. And they kind of wait and hope that something changes. In essence, they don't want to change anything themselves. And this is what you find in accountability. And I've had a lot of people who I've trained, and the minute I start to hear this in the conversation, it's almost kind of a waste of time, because it beats the purpose of accountability. If the person wants to take out the card of the victim and just throw it on the table and start shifting blames, the market's doing this, oh, this, or that, but it's like, wait, but there's other brokers making money in this market, and so forth. But the minute people go into this victim mindset, then it's really hard to be accountable, whether the person who they need to be accountable to or the person themselves, because they're not moving into the space of change. But then you have this other group of people that are willing to seek reality. They're willing to acknowledge reality. They're willing to own it. They're willing to find solutions, and they're willing to move on with it. Get on with it. They're willing to get on with it. And when you meet this other group of people, they're like, yeah, man, like I set a goal, but, I didn't meet it. But I'm going to do everything to meet it next time. They're getting on with it. So the accountability aspect is actually going to work on them, because they're willing to change. And this is the first question that I often ask people who I'm working in accountability. Are you willing to change? And if a person has a hard time answering that question, then we're not going to go anywhere. It's the same thing with me. If a person comes to me and says, you should do this with your website, and they ask me, are you willing to change to do this? And I'm going to say, no. I am not interested in going that direction. Right now, my business is headed this direction. So there's nothing wrong with saying that you do not want change, but just be real, just like it says, seek reality. Seek reality in accountability. But a lot of people, when they pull the victim card and then they push that victim card in accountability, guess what? Accountability stops working. Because they're finding every single excuse under the sun not to change. Every excuse under the sun not to change. And it's hard. Then it becomes, it's like you chasing a rabbit. And instead of this person being accountable, during the whole conversation, you're trying to chase this guy down for accountability. You're trying to chase him down for a conversation. And you're like, well, I'm not here truly to babysit here. I'm here that you and I both agreed that we want change for our businesses. We want change in the retrospect of moving forward. So today, we went and we talked about being accountable. And I highly recommend, if you're serious about your business, that you would actually start paying somebody to be accountable. That you would seek mentors you could be accountable. There are people who I meet once a year with. I sit down and I give them my business. They look at it and they address concerns that they see. I have other people I meet on a monthly basis. I have other people I almost have a daily conversation with them. But being accountable is very crucial in our business and in our growth of our business.